Picture this. You walk out to your garden on a quiet morning. The air smells fresh. The sun is just coming up over the fence. And you reach down to check on your soil. But instead of that rich, dark, sweet-smelling earth you remember, what you find is dust, hard, pale, crumbling. You dig in with your fingers, no worms, no movement, nothing. And you wonder, what happened? Now pause that image for a moment. Because what if I told you that something sitting in your kitchen right now, something so ordinary most people pour it straight down the drain, could change that picture completely? What if that simple thing could draw worms up from deep in the soil, multiply microbial life by the millions, and begin transforming dead, tired ground into the kind of dark, crumbly, living soil that master gardeners spend decades trying to build? Not in years, not even in months, in days. We're talking about rice water, specifically fermented rice water. And the quiet tradition behind it, that goes back generations among some of the most productive small farmers this country has ever seen. Stay with me through this video, because by the end, you're going to have a simple, proven method in your hands. That costs almost nothing, takes less than 5 minutes to prepare, and could be the single most important thing you do for your garden this season. Before we go any further, if you're someone who loves growing things the right way, without harsh chemicals, without expensive inputs, and with deep respect for the living world beneath your feet, then this channel was made for you. Hit subscribe and ring that bell, because every week we share time-tested methods like this one. Methods that have been quietly working in real gardens, long before garden centers existed. Simple, effective, grounded in nature. That's what we're about here at Seedly. Now, let's get into something that might just change the way you think about soil forever. There's a problem happening in gardens all across this country right now, and most gardeners don't even know it's the problem. They blame the weather. They blame the seed. They buy more fertilizer. They water more, or less. They try new varieties, and still, the garden struggles. Here's the truth that most gardening content never quite says out loud. The problem is rarely above the soil. It's below it. Healthy garden plants don't just need nutrients. They need a living soil ecosystem beneath them. One that works around the clock, breaking down organic matter, unlocking minerals that are already there but locked away, moving moisture and air through tiny channels, and cycling nutrients back to the root zone where plants can actually use them. That system depends on life, billions of bacteria, fungi spreading their invisible threads through every cubic inch of soil, protozoa, nematodes, beetles, and the undisputed kings of the underground world, earthworms. When that life disappears, even the best fertilizer you can buy struggles to work properly, because fertilizer feeds the plant. But a living soil feeds everything. And here's the part that hits home for many of us who've been gardening for decades. That life doesn't disappear overnight. It fades slowly. Season after season of tilling, year after year of synthetic inputs that quietly suppress the very microbes the soil depends on. Chemical pesticides and herbicides that were never meant to be selective. That don't just stop pests. They stop the living biology in the soil. Slowly, quietly, the garden goes gray. And one spring morning, you reach in, and there are no worms. Want to know one of the fastest, simplest, most accurate ways to check your soil health? No soil lab required, no pH meter, no test kit. Just this. On a warm, moist morning, go out to your garden. Dig a hole about 12 inches deep and 12 inches wide. Set the soil on a piece of cardboard or a bucket, and count. If you find 10 earthworms or more in that cubic foot of soil, your soil is in good health. If you find 5 or fewer, your soil is telling you something. If you find none, it's time to pay close attention. Because earthworms are not just beneficial, they are indicators. They are the living measure of your soil's overall health. When worms are present and thriving, they are continuously aerating the soil with their tunnels. Every burrow is a tiny highway for air and water to reach plant roots. They're improving drainage in wet conditions and moisture retention in dry ones. They are eating organic matter every single day, passing it through their bodies, and leaving behind what scientists call castings, one of the richest, most biologically active forms of plant nutrition that exists in nature. Studies have shown that worm castings contain 5 times more nitrogen than ordinary soil, 7 times more phosphorus, 11 times more potassium, and they deliver all of it in a slow-release, plant-available form. That's not a fertilizer you can buy in a bag. That's a living process, and it only happens when the worms are there. Now, before we get to the rice water itself, let me take you somewhere important. Back to the farms of Pennsylvania, Ohio, and Indiana. Back to a way of growing things that never followed the chemical revolution of the 20th century. The Amish. You may know them for their simple way of life. But what many gardeners don't realize is that Amish farms have something that modern agricultural soil often doesn't. Research comparing Amish farm soils to neighboring conventional plots found significantly higher levels of organic matter in the Amish fields. Not because they had better weather, not because they farmed better land, but because they managed soil as a living system. Crop rotation, cover crops, horse-powered tillage that doesn't compact soil the way heavy machinery does, animal manure returned to the fields, fermented preparations made from farm and kitchen materials, generation after generation of farmers who understood one truth. You don't feed the plant, you feed the soil, and the soil feeds the plant. Long before scientists had names for Lactobacillus or mycorrhizal fungi, these farming communities were using fermented liquids to inoculate their soil with living biology. Rice water fermentation is one thread in that tradition, and it's a thread worth pulling. When you wash uncooked rice before cooking, that cloudy, starchy water that runs off, most people wash it twice and pour it away. For centuries, others have collected it, because that water carries with it a remarkable mix of compounds: starch, natural sugars, B vitamins, including B1, B2, and B6, vitamins that serve as cofactors for dozens of microbial metabolic processes in soil, amino acids, the building blocks of protein, which soil bacteria use as their primary nitrogen source, trace minerals including potassium, phosphorus, calcium, magnesium, copper, and zinc, and a plant growth hormone called indole-3-acetic acid, or IAA, a naturally occurring auxin that directly stimulates root development. Scientists at a Malaysian agricultural university who analyzed washed rice water in detail found it contained measurable concentrations of nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, calcium, magnesium, copper, zinc, and boron. That's not just rinse water, that's a nutrient solution. But here's where it gets really interesting. When you ferment that water, when you allow it to sit at room temperature for 2 to 3 days, something remarkable begins to happen. Fermentation is one of the oldest biological processes on Earth. Long before humans understood it, they used it to preserve food, to make medicine, to prepare the soil. When rice water begins to ferment at room temperature, the native Lactobacillus bacteria, lactic acid bacteria, that exist naturally in the grain, begin to multiply. Rapidly, they consume the simple sugars in the rice water as their food source. And in return, they produce lactic acid, enzymes, bioactive compounds, and they dramatically increase the total bacterial population in the liquid. Research has confirmed that bacteria in fermented rice water reach their peak population after approximately 3 days of fermentation. At that point, the liquid contains beneficial nitrogen-fixing bacteria, including species like Enterobacter, Pantuia, and Bacillus, and phosphorus-solubilizing bacteria, organisms that can unlock phosphorus molecules that are already present in your soil. but chemically bound in ways plant roots can't access. This is the part that deserves to be said slowly and clearly. There is phosphorus in most garden soils right now that plants cannot use. It's there. It's locked. And these bacteria hold the key. On top of that, fermentation increases the concentration of most of the nutrients in the original rice water by somewhere between 7 and 57%. You're not just diluting nutrients into your soil, you're delivering a living inoculant, a microbial workforce, one that goes to work the moment it contacts your soil. Now, here's the piece of the puzzle that most people miss, and it's the piece that connects rice water to worm activity. Worms don't come to your soil because you invite them. They come because there is something worth eating. Earthworms are not soil creators. They are soil responders. They follow the food, and their primary food source is microbial biomass, bacteria, fungi, decomposing organic matter that microbes have already begun to process. A single gram of healthy soil contains billions of bacteria. Those bacteria represent enormous nutritional density for worms. When you introduce a fermented microbial inoculant into the soil, when you begin raising the bacterial population in your soil's upper layers, you are quite literally setting the table. You're creating a food signal that worms, especially the deep-dwelling species, follow upward. And this is critical to understand. Worms don't just eat and leave. When worms move through soil, they are engineering it. Their tunnels create a network of channels. Channels for oxygen to reach roots. Channels for rainwater to move downward instead of pooling on the surface. Channels for root systems to expand further than they ever could in compacted ground. And as worms move, they leave behind castings at every turn. Those castings don't just add nutrients, they add a complex microbial ecosystem of their own. Research published in the journal Frontiers in Environmental Science found that the effects of earthworm gut transit on soil microbiomes can last beyond 168 days. That's more than 5 months of ongoing improvement from one worm's movement. So when you use fermented rice water to raise microbial activity in your soil, you are triggering a cascade. More microbes, more worms, more tunneling, more castings, more nutrients, more root growth, more plant health. It doesn't start at the plant. It starts at the biology. All right, let's walk through this together, step by step, so you can go home tonight and have this fermenting by morning. What you need is 1 cup of raw, uncooked rice. White rice works, but brown rice works even better. It carries more B vitamins and micronutrients. Do not use pre-washed, rinsed, or parboiled rice. You want the natural starches and surface microbes intact. Next, 4 cups of clean, unchlorinated water. This is important. Tap water in most municipal systems contains chlorine and sometimes chloramines. Both of those are specifically designed to kill bacteria, which is the opposite of what you want here. Use filtered water if you can, or fill a bucket with tap water and let it sit uncovered for 24 hours before using it. Chlorine dissipates naturally. Chloramines require a filter. You'll also need a clean glass jar, ceramic crock, or food-grade plastic container. Nothing that has soap residue, even a small amount of dish soap, can disrupt fermentation. And you'll want a cloth cover, a piece of cheesecloth, an old cotton cloth, or even a paper towel, secured with a rubber band. You want the ferment to breathe. Air movement is good, you just want to keep dust and insects out. Now here's the process. Pour your 4 cups of water into the jar. Add 1 cup of raw rice. Stir gently for 1 full minute. You'll see the water cloud up immediately as starches release from the grain surface. That's exactly what you want. Cover the jar with your cloth. Place it in a warm location, not hot, not cold. Room temperature between 68 and 78 degrees Fahrenheit is ideal. A kitchen counter away from direct sunlight is perfect. Leave it for 24 to 48 hours. Within the first 12 hours, you may see very little change. By 24 hours, you'll likely notice the water is more deeply cloudy. By 48 hours, and this is the sign you're waiting for, you'll detect a slightly sour, mildly tangy smell. Not foul, not rotten. Tangy. Slightly acidic. That smell tells you the Lactobacillus bacteria are doing their work. Fermentation is underway. If you're in a cooler environment, it may take the full 48 hours. In warmer weather, 24 hours may be enough. Once you detect that slightly sour smell, strain out the rice grains. You can add those grains directly to your compost pile or bury them in the garden. They'll continue feeding soil biology as they break down. What you're left with is your fermented rice water concentrate. Now comes the most important step, the one that most people either skip or underestimate: dilution. Here's where I need you to slow down and pay close attention, because this step is where most people go wrong. More does not mean better. This is not a fertilizer that works on a principle of concentration. This is a biological inoculant. And like all living systems, it works best in balance. Take 1 part of your fermented rice water concentrate and mix it with 10 parts clean water. 1 to 10. If you have 1 cup of concentrate, add 10 cups of water. If you're making a full watering can, you might use half a cup of concentrate and 5 cups of water. This dilution is not about weakening the solution. It's about creating the right environment for the microbial life to survive and thrive once it hits your soil. Undiluted fermented rice water applied directly to soil can disrupt the existing microbial balance. The concentration of lactic acid can temporarily lower soil pH in the immediate application zone. And if applied to roots directly in concentrated form, it can stress or damage root tissue. You work too hard on this garden to rush the last step. Dilute properly, every time. Application is simple, but a few details matter. Apply the diluted solution around the base of your plants, not on the leaves, not on the stems, at the soil level. This is a soil treatment, not a foliar spray. You want the microbial life to enter the soil and begin colonizing the root zone, the area known as the rhizosphere, where the most active soil biology lives. Apply to moist soil, never to dry, bone-dry soil. The microbial life in your solution needs moisture to survive the journey from the watering can into the soil. If your soil is dry, water it lightly first. Wait 30 minutes, then apply your rice water solution. The best time of day is early morning or early evening, not midday. The heat and UV radiation of direct afternoon sun can rapidly kill the beneficial bacteria before they have a chance to penetrate the soil. Early morning application allows the microbes to move into the upper soil layers during the cooler, more protected part of the day. How often? Begin with once every 7 to 10 days. This is not a daily application. Think of it less like watering and more like a probiotic treatment. You're introducing living biology, you're giving it time to establish, and then you're reinforcing it on a regular schedule. Now let's talk about what you can realistically expect to see and when. Because patience is a virtue in gardening. But this method tends to reward patience faster than most. In the first week, you likely won't see dramatic visible changes above ground. But below ground, the microbial population is beginning to shift. Bacteria,